What's up, Next Gen Steelers, and welcome to my channel where we talk all things football and all things Steelers. From a young fan, for young fans. The Steelers pulled off a must-win against the best offense in the league and the worst defense in the league. It was pretty cool to watch. So let's get into the changes the Steelers made to completely erase the memory of the last time these two teams played each other, how Mason Rudolph did coming in for an injured Rodgers, and finally, we'll preview the game against the Bears. Let's get into it. There were a lot of different times where Flacco looked very uncomfortable in the pocket, and he would throw a flawed ball, including the pick six with Kyle Duggar. James Pierre made a lot of big plays, some really nice tackles, and then of course the scoop and score. Tomlin commended him, saying that he's seen a lot of improvement from him over the last several years. So it's very clear to see that he played a lot better in this game than Darius Slay has played all year. So we'll see how that plays out once Slay is healthy. One thing the Steelers might need to improve on a little bit was stopping the run. Chase Brown did not have the game he did the last time the two teams met, but he still had a few pretty nice runs in the second half. It wasn't anything that got, out of hand, but still, it would have been nice if he hadn't broken away for that huge run in the first play of the second half. So, just working on tackling, too, because there were 2 or 3 different people that had a chance to tackle Brown before he got into the open field. One thing the Steelers did pretty good at was running the ball, and they ran for 111 yards, and that helped them to hang on to the ball for more than half of the game. Finally! It's only the second time this year that the Steelers have had more than 30 minutes time of possession. But we did it this week, and we saw what the defense was able to do. That's also a credit to Mason Rudolph, coming in and just completing short passes, keeping the offense on schedule, moving the ball forward, and keeping the defense on the sideline, letting them rest and be all freshened up for when Joe Flacco came back onto the field. The Steelers had a very good game in Cincinnati. The only downside, I would say, was the injuries. Guys like Aaron Rodgers, but also Jaylen Warren, most importantly, in my opinion. No offense to Rodgers. He had 10 carries for 62 yards before the injury, including a 35-yard run on the opening drive. And he's a guy that has really performed solidly all year, and the offense needs to be built around him. But let's hope he's healthy for Chicago. One thing I didn't really like was how little of Calvin Austin there was. He only played 19 snaps and had 1 catch for 5 yards that came on 3rd and 8. So it didn't do much good, and it was actually a pretty decent catch. He really had to work hard to secure it, but the thing was about that play was that on 2nd and 8, Rodgers threw an incompletion, which brought up the 3rd and 8, and then he threw the 5-yard pass to Calvin Austin. What I don't understand is why that play couldn't have been called on 2nd and 8, so that when Austin catches the ball, it brings up a 3rd and 3, rather than a 4th and 3 and a punt. But also the Steelers have seemed to have stopped throwing the ball downfield to Calvin Austin. That could just be because of the drops and the inconsistency, and he needs to be better with that majorly. He's also come off of an injury that kept him on the bench for about 2 or 3 weeks, so we have to give him some grace. Yes, he needs to be better, but I also think he deserves a few more chances than what he's getting. Also, we just can't not say enough about Darnell Washington. 4 catches and 67 yards. That doesn't quite describe how good he was, though. One of his catches converted a 3rd and 17. That pass was just a 5-yard dump from Mason Rudolph that he took all the way to the first down line, just dragging people with him, running right over them. Then the short pass from Rodgers where he completely flattened that guy with the stiff arm. It was just crazy to see him run all over people, and I think he definitely deserves the touches he's getting and more. I thought that Caleb Johnson had a decent day. 5 carries for 15 yards and a 3 yard average isn't that good, but it's not that bad either. And he wasn't hit for a loss this time, finally. That 13-yard run of his was nullified by a face mask penalty, but I think it was still a really nice run. He just needs to be way more careful where he puts his hands. And finally, Kenneth Gainwell, who despite his rushing stats not being terrific, 9 carries for 24 yards, his receiving stats were unbelievable. 7 catches, 81 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. His catches converted a 1st and 25 and a 3rd and 11. So, if Rodgers doesn't play against Chicago, which he probably won't, the Steelers really just need to make it easy for Mason Rudolph. Not that he can't handle more, but this is kind of what they should have been doing with Aaron Rodgers too. Just letting Rodgers get the ball out quick to a receiver who can make a big play after the catch. Well, all in all, the Steelers had a terrific game. Let's see if they can do it again this week against the Bears. And let's see what they're up against. The Bears that the Steelers will be playing this week are not the same Bears from last year. They have a lot of talent on that roster. Caleb Williamson is not the same quarterback he was last year. He's become pretty efficient, a very good playmaker. He has a lot of great receivers to throw to. He's got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden. Colston Loveland was the first tight end taken in this year's draft. I don't think he's performed amazingly for being the first tight end taken. Not like Tyler Warren level, but he has been good and he's shown flashes of being excellent. So he's definitely a big target that the Steelers need to watch out for, especially in the middle of the field. The Bears also like to get tricky, especially with guys like Luther Burden and DJ Moore, who are tough, fast receivers who run jet sweeps and plays like that very well. So Steelers will need to keep an eye out for that up front. It'll also just come down to stopping the run. DeAndre Swift has turned into a pretty good running back for the Bears. He's made quite a few nice plays. He actually had the same amount of carries as Warren at one point for 100 more yards than Warren, which shows that he does get nice gains most of the time he touches the ball. Also putting pressure on Caleb Williamson because he is not good against pressure. And this could be a week where we see the Steelers pass rush get to him a lot, get a lot of sacks, quarterback hits, and that could be a deciding factor in the game. On offense, the Steelers will definitely need to run the ball. Not because we don't trust Mason Rudolph to throw it. I will just go out there and say that I am beyond confident in Rudolph's ability. I actually wanted him to be the starting quarterback before Aaron Rodgers came to town. But the Bears are allowing 133 rushing yards per game. That's something big that the Steelers can exploit. Warren may or may not be back next week, but Gainwell can run the ball effectively. He had a nice 12-yard run last game, and we all remember what he did in Minnesota when he had almost 100 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Caleb Johnson could continue to get opportunities to show that he is what the Steelers drafted him to be, a very good and tough volume back. Also, Mason Rudolph will just have to get the ball into the hands of the best player, which is DK Metcalf, and also, I'd say Darnell Washington. I mean, he's basically unguardable and unstoppable, so yes, get the ball to him. Also, the running backs will definitely be in the receiving mix. Jaylen Warren, we've all seen what he does after the catch. Kenny Gainwell had a great game last week. And while Caleb Johnson's receiving abilities haven't really translated to the NFL yet, he was an efficient receiving back in college. So we'll see how that all plays out this week. Also, Mason Rudolph does love to hurl it downfield. He does it very well. He has a very strong arm. So letting him throw a few deep balls every now and then as he's moving the ball forward to guys like DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, or Roman Wilson will definitely help gain momentum. Just to clarify, we don't know Rodgers' exact status, but we do know that it would be very unlikely for him to play this week. I already said I'm beyond confident in Rudolph's abilities, but the rest of the team also needs to play their best. It'll be interesting to see how Arthur Smith decides to spread the ball around. There are some guys that I've talked about that I think need to get the ball more, but also guys like Jonnu Smith just getting targeted and used further downfield. And finally, I think it's going to be very important that the Steelers stay on schedule. Thankfully, that is something that Mason Rudolph does very well. We saw that opening drive of the preseason, how well he was able to move the ball downfield. He got nice, consistent gains every play, and it resulted in a touchdown pass to Darnell Washington. But by staying on schedule, I just mean getting a decent gain on every down. So, like a 5-yard gain on first down, 3-yard gain on second down, and then just get the first down, however way you want to. But the Steelers just need to keep moving the ball forward, keep their defense resting on the sideline, and keep racking up their time of possession, because right now they are not very good in the rankings for time of possession. With this in mind, I'm predicting a 28-24 win for the Steelers. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And here we go, Steelers, and I will see you next week.